Well, thank you, Holly, so much for joining us today. You look so cute, propped up with all your pillows there, if you're watching online here. And I'm so excited to sit down and talk with you. We're going to get to all the fun stuff in a minute, but there's
Okay.
a question I always wanted to ask you.
What?
When people meet you, do they always ask you about the weather?
No, no,
Really?
no. They blame me.
Oh, okay.
No, but it's usually pre-pandemic. I'm a hugger, so it's usually thanks for making us smile, and it's always so nice. Like that is a very popular question though, as far as do I mind, and I find it almost insulting if someone says that, because why would anyone get into television if you mind someone coming up to you to say you make their day better, or thanks for the smile this morning, or whatever it might be, for goodness sakes. So pre-pandemic, my grocery store visits were much longer because I just would get caught up talking to everybody.
Yes, I love that. And
Yeah.
you are like from the moment I met you in person, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, she really is this huge ray of sunshine just like you are on TV.
Oh,
You were
thank
you
you.
were always like that in person and it's just a gift to be able to share you today to our
So
listeners
excited to
as
talk to you.
well."
Yeah.
So we all know you on TV and
Yeah.
we've watched you. But tell us a little bit about Holly as a mom. You have two kids
Yeah.
and there has to be a lot. I mean, I know it's a lot for me to balance it all.
Yeah.
And what's it like for you?
Well, especially, I feel like this question is so different than if we were talking a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic. So it's so different. There's been a ton of blessings for me because I love, selfishly, having them around me so much more because of the online school. And of course, when this all started, we were all home.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to work. I was one of the few people that, and I am still one of the few people that is going into the station physically. But there's literally a handful of us that are only doing that. So, thus the Zoom. And thank you for understanding. But, you know, it is a lot to juggle, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't go to bed at 5 o'clock, even though I get up at 1:30. That's just not possible, as
Yeah.
when you're a mom. Um, I I love it. And the schedule that I'm on allows me to really be there, in my opinion, those times of day that really matter.
Yeah.
I don't miss
Yeah.
anything. So I might not be getting sleep, and I might become a little bit like crabby mommy by the end of the day. But in most cases, I have to say it's such a blessing to be able to pick them up from school and cook dinner and have all that time with them. So yes, it's a juggling act, but it's a huge blessing. It's not like I love what I do, but
Yeah.
I've always said being a mom is my absolute favorite job in the universe. And I really like, I am one of those people. I loved being pregnant. I breastfed both my kids. There's plenty, and I'm not, saying this to offend those that don't. I support whatever, but I guess my point is I just thoroughly enjoyed every part of the journey and still
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm a lot like you because you work way earlier hours than I do, but I miss the getting on the bus. Like I miss the first day of school
Yeah, the
getting on
first
the
part.
bus. I've missed a lot of that. But then you're right. On the other side, I've had so many of the blessings. I'm always home for
Yes.
school and cooking dinner. So I think sometimes as moms, we give ourselves way too much of a guilt trip.
Oh, I am so hard on myself.
Oh, we
The
all are,
worst.
right? And
I don't know if we all are. Sometimes I think that I am a recovering perfectionist, or I don't know what the problem is, but I'm really hard on myself. I am.
yeah, maybe some of
Probably
us are
part of what,
worse than others because I'm
yeah,
like that
and it's
too.
probably, and I know we're going to talk about so much, but it's probably a contributor to my anxiety, because I just hold myself at such a, I want them to walk into beds made and candles lit and dinner perfection. And on Taco Tuesday night, maybe I'll even have some fun decorations out. Like, I really put that pressure on myself, and it's just not, it's not doable every day. And
Yeah,
I'm getting to know that.
yeah, it's not realistic. Well, let's talk a little bit about anxiety since you mentioned it right there. I've
Hmm.
been real open. I've struggled with anxiety for many years. I've had several different health issues. You have come out. I was probably what, like a year or two ago. I can't remember.
It was 3 years ago.
It was 3 years ago. My
Well, maybe
gosh.
it was two, but it was 2 or 3. But I mean, it's been a couple years for sure.
Yeah, since
Two years now. It
you were
was 2 years.
so amazing to come out and share your
I
story.
was so scared.
I'm sure it's a lot. It's first of
I
all,
was.
it's very hard to be open. I mean, everybody sees you as this one person either behind the mic or on TV, but it's like, well, do they really want to know what's going inside?
Mm,
Because I feel like it's probably affecting other people, but it's scary to be open and transparent like that. And
yeah.
you have just, I feel like you've opened the door for so many people to say, oh my gosh, me too. Yes. You actually have a series on now that is called You Are Not Alone. And it's so beautiful. So, kind of, let's just start at the beginning there. Why
Mhm.
was it so important? Because you're right, it's so hard to be vulnerable.
Right.
Why was it so important for you to be vulnerable and share your journey of anxiety?
My initial thought was, if I help one person, that my goal would have been complete. And then it kind of snowballed into thousands and thousands and thousands. And I was taken back by it. And I guess when I say that, I was thinking, wow, this is really a problem. Like, people are struggling to have a voice with this. And so at that point, I, not to sound preachy, but I almost felt like this is your calling. I think we all have those moments in life, and say, this is my purpose and
Yeah.
this is why. I think there's a huge misconception because I'm a positive person and I have a great attitude, but you can have all of those things and still have anxiety. And there's so many stigmas around it. So I was really afraid to be vulnerable and say things because I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to be so judged and it's going to be horrible for me. And I didn't sleep, which is pretty normal for someone with anxiety, for a month leading up to my initial series coming out about it. But I said, you know what? I don't care, because I really felt like that purpose outweighed any kind of risk. And I am who I am on TV. It really is. And so I thought, if I can't talk about this stuff and make some sort of a difference, and people are going to judge me for being real, then I guess that's their problem.
Yeah.
I mean, completely honest. And I don't say that with disrespect. I'm saying it because I think that it's what we all need more of. There's so much masked, just illusions, and life isn't all unicorns, even though I'm a firm believer of sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns. But it's the truth, though, and I tell my kids that because I get scared for them. They're not really on social media other than Instagram right now, but it's so scary when you look at social media, especially as an adult, and see these, I want to say, mirages, because it's all it is. Like, life is not perfect, and it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to have a bad day, and it's okay if you have some kind of a mental disorder. It's amazing to me that that is still a stigma, and it's not equally as important as physical health, because if your mind,
Yes.
it's for me, mind, body, spirit. And
Yeah.
I always, I, I'm going back now, when I would be asked about working out, and my answer is always, I work out not for the physical part of it. I literally work out for the mental.
Yeah.
Because, and I didn't, at the time, I wasn't mature enough to realize that what I was saying, but in essence, I was saying, I'm trying to, make myself feel better.
Right.
And that's what it does. And so, lesson learned, that there are many things that you can do naturally. Medication, not that it's bad, but medication is not necessarily the go to. And there's a million things that have have helped me, including therapy and
Mhm.
just talking with somebody. And I was really afraid to, I felt like everyone's going to have this vision of me laying on a couch, you know what I mean? Like and again, you do all that. And that's not what it is. And anyone that has gone to therapy, I mean, I still have a therapist to this day. I am a work in progress. It's not something that you just click and say, no, I'm not anxious.
Right.
Not. I'm
No.
constantly working on becoming the best version of myself.
No, I know, and I think that's so important what you said there. It's not an overnight thing.
No.
I have a therapist as well. I was recently diagnosed with PTSD, and I have a wonderful therapist. I've had a lot of health issues and different traumatic things, going back to a loss of a child that I had a long time ago that I really have never worked through. And it's amazing when you go to therapy, they pull this stuff out of you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have some more series of podcasts on all of that and dive a little deeper into some different types of therapy because it just goes to show you can talk to a therapist. They have different modalities of
Yes.
therapy, and it's just amazing. So, more to
Well,
that to come.
yeah, and I commend you for that because it's not easy to talk about those things either. And I also suffer from PTSD and trauma, and it is so true that um, the things that not that there's anything wrong with having that certain friend or family member that you confide in, but there's just
Right.
something about
Yes.
therapy that is really healing.
Yes.
And I feel like there's no, I don't want to say no rules, but kind of, you're not, you just, you're there just as you are. It's not like
Yeah.
your mom or your sister or your best friend. It's just, there's no judgment, and
Yeah.
it's just sort of laying it all out on the table.
Yeah.
And probably it saved me. It really did.
Yeah. No, I agree with you so much. I can't stress how important and just life-changing it's been and just for anyone not to feel like
Yeah.
they can't go or can't
Self-help
talk.
is the best thing you'll ever do.
Yeah, it really
Self-care,
is.
self-help, whatever you want to
Yeah.
classify it as.
Now, you
Yeah.
mentioned social media,
Mhm.
and I think through therapy and through just self reflection, I've learned I have triggers. I think maybe all of us have, maybe it's
Oh,
a
yes.
word, maybe it's something on social media that happens, maybe it's whatever it is. But social media can be a trigger for me.
Mhm.
And I get real anxiety. Like if I post something, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. Oh no, well, I didn't mean it that way. Or, I'll overthink stuff all the time, and I think it's different for everybody. Um, how do you feel about social media? Sometimes I feel pressure with
Yeah.
it.
I mean, it's literally part of my job.
Yeah.
So, it and I don't feel pressure because it's part of, I guess my feelings on social media is, again, as I've always been sort of open and hard on my shoulder and just talk about my life, I feel almost a responsibility to be that same way on social media. So I am. It's all out there. I don't have a private. Now, when I started Facebook, it's funny. I was just talking to Mark Nolan about this on the radio the other day. We worked together when Facebook came out. And so at that time, you could you had a friend page before you could have a public page,
Right.
right? Do you
Right.
remember this?
Oh, I do.
And so then you had to have 5,000 friends in order to get your public page. And I joked with him, like, I'm half Italian, half Hungarian. Got a huge family, but there's not 5,000 of us, right? Or at least that I know of. And so my quote personal page is not personal. I mean, and not that what I put on there isn't personal, it's all the same,
Yeah.
but then Facebook would not merge the two, so that I have two redundant pages because of that. And then of
Yes.
course, now there's Instagram and stuff like that. But from the very beginning, I just was kind of like an open story. And so I think that now it is such a way of connecting, but I do believe it does give me anxiety because it is a way of bullying. It is a way of a lot of things that aren't positive.
Yeah.
So I try. to make a positive difference on it. Now, you know, you're not going to please everybody. I call myself jokingly the pleaser to my family and close friends because that's what I am. If, for example, Grady doesn't like his chicken dinner, I'm going to make him 10 other dinners until that kid eats, right? And so I'm just not somebody that I'm not happy with myself unless you're happy and others
Yeah.
around me are happy. It's just
Yeah.
who I am. It's who I am.
Yeah.
So, people could be nasty. They can. And it's hard for me. Like something as silly as I didn't like your dress can send me over the ledge. And not that I expect everyone to like my dress, but we're human.
Right.
So
Why
if
why does
someone,
someone need to say it? Just
right? Or
right.
just like it's that whole, because I'm a huge quote person. If you don't have anything nice to say, just kind of zip it, right? I can never imagine myself going to a grocery store, just as an example, and telling somebody I didn't like their sweater or jacket. Just keep it to myself. And I don't expect to please everybody, even though my expectations of myself are that high. I know it's not realistic, and therapy has helped me with that. I do realize that it's not a realistic thing. But I also think that I try to inspire, and I'm really big on quotes. And the reason I am is because they help me. That's
Yeah.
part of what heals me. And quotes impact people in so many different ways. And I know from just experience with what I do on social media, I'm amazed at how many interpretations there will be of, and sometimes it's something right from my heart, and sometimes it's a quote of somebody else. But I will get thousands of replies, and they're all different.
Yeah.
It's impacted them in all different ways. So I know that when I'm really, really stressed, that's something that I do is I have quote books like you wouldn't believe, and things like that, because I feel like I never have time to like sit and literally read books, and I want to have fun because this life is crazy. So yeah, I mean, I do think that it triggers me, but it's not one of my triggers per se.
Okay.
Does
Well,
that make
it's
sense?
good. Yeah, no, and it's good. And I'm learning to balance it. And I'm a big quote person too. I do a fish food for thought every day on my show. And actually, while you were talking, a Mark Twain quote came to mind. There's 2 days in life that are important: the day you're born and the day you find out why. And that was going. I thought of that because I know you're a quote person, just like
Yeah.
me. And when you were talking about how I felt like kind of called, this is, I
Yeah.
have this platform.
Yeah.
What can I use it for good? And I love that you're doing that. I feel like that's a little bit of, the day you find out why. Like I feel
Yeah.
so open and
It's so empowering.
yes.
I
And you
have
have
to
a
say that after all of the nerves and anxiety went away, and what I did happened and was out there in the universe and on TV and on my social media platforms, it was like, oh my goodness, like the light bulb for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And it's therapy for me too, because I'm lifted by all of you. I'm lifted by you. I'm lifted by people telling stories. And it's really kind of how life goes round. And it took me a while to realize. And it's equally therapeutic for me to hear that I'm not alone. It
Yep.
really is. It's pretty amazing. And
Yeah.
no matter what, we're all on a different journey. And when I first opened up about some of my triggers and things that I was working through a few years ago, I thought, how can I be anxious when there's people that are, this or that? This is so much worse than me.
Right.
It was like this guilt, like how can I say this when I have two beautiful kids, and how can I be anxious? And then I realized pain is pain, grief is grief, loss
Yeah.
is loss, anxiety is anxiety, and it's equivalent. We're all on different journeys, and we can't, and sadly I think what does happen in the world and life in general is that everyone is so judgmental
Yeah.
about everybody, but we really have no way to judge another unless you're literally them, and
Right.
you're not walking in my shoes, I'm not walking in your shoes. So
Right.
just because, let's just say I get stressed over a traffic jam and you don't, doesn't make you right or you wrong or me wrong. It's just we're all separate, and I
Right.
don't care about traffic jams. It's just an example.
No, it's a good example. We're all on our different journeys, but going back to that, what you just said, you're not alone. It helps you to even hear from
Oh
other
gosh.
people, then you're not alone. And you have a new series on WKYC called You're Not Alone. What is it all about?
So it's basically mental health, and we're diving. Mental health is such a huge um, umbrella. It's so much. It's not just anxiety. It's depression. It's bipolar. It's a gazillion things, quite honestly. And I'm not a doctor, so with all the things that we have talked about so far, we make sure that we're giving resources out. I mean, just like I have a therapist,
Right.
whatever the subject matter may be. But we're really people have reached out over the years to me, and so I thought I've got to do something with this. And again, if their stories can make a difference, to somebody else, then thank you, God. I
Right.
mean, it's just again, everyone's journey is different, and you never know who's going to hear that and think, "Oh my gosh, this is me, and now
Right.
I'm going to get help." The gentleman that I featured today was uh, amazingly a psychology degree graduate, master's, well educated, and was bipolar and had no idea until,
Wow.
like so far into his journey, and was suicidal at one point. And his story was just, you think to yourself, oh my goodness, and he's fully come around, he's doing great. But I thought as I was, watching it back, and I thought of our conversation. We talked for like over an hour, and I thought, my goodness, like what a brave man to share this. And he's not alone. I mean, so many
Yeah.
people have reached out and said, "This is me," and that's scary. And the other thing is, there are so many things I want to do, Sarah, because it's not just adults. I mean,
Yeah.
kids,
Oh, yes.
kids really.
Especially this past year.
Yeah, and I've heard from a lot of parents, and we're going to be doing. I'm definitely going to be honing in on some of those, and it's sad because there's so much pressure on children with social media.
Yeah.
I think it's different for them than us. We didn't grow up with it, so to speak,
Right.
and they are, and it's such a it's so hard, and there's so much pressure. And I don't want to say especially with girls, but I do feel like that. I do to some
Yeah.
degree. I
Oh,
do.
oh, I definitely think that.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's going to be a lot of work that we do that highlights children and anxiety, because they especially, I feel like, are so afraid to say, you
Of
know
course. Of
and
course.
sometimes with even a child, even as a parent, and some of the stories that I'm getting, and people that are reaching out to me, what scares the heck out of me is not even knowing that, sometimes there's no warning signs with children, and
Right.
that's horrifying to me.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Well, I'm so glad you're talking about that too. I have to tell you one of the things that really helped me that you shared, because
Mhm.
people, you don't realize all the people that are watching or
No,
listening, right?
never.
You just don't. I was
Sometimes I
thinking
have to
about that
remind
the other
myself,
day. Right.
you know,
Um
those moments of, oh, I'm on TV, I better not say that. Right? Yeah.
right.
Right.
Um so I have struggled with insomnia for a year now. I think a
Oof.
lot of it stems from my health issues. I've been open and shared my story of Lyme and mold and some different physiological things, but for a
Yeah.
year it's been really bad. And just to hear other people talk about sleep problems. I know you've
Yeah.
shared, I even watched a YouTube video where you talked about,
Yeah.
it just made me feel, oh my gosh, see, Holly has it too. Okay, I'm good. I'm not going to stress because, and I know that sounds so silly.
It doesn't sound silly. I do the same thing. And I haven't posted on YouTube forever, so that reminds me I should do that.
You should because those videos were really good.
I haven't done that for a long, long time. I need to. I need to. Yeah.
But it's just that, everyone does. I shared on the show this morning, and this was an old study, like 68% of people have sleep issues during the week.
Oh,
And that was from a 2016 study. So I'm going to guess it's way, way worse from now. So just, I guess that just say thank you for sharing this
oh,
new
please.
series. You are not alone. And
I'm
I'm
so
going to
grateful
keep
for you.
continuing sharing. Oh, you continue to sharing.
We're all
Um,
going to share and talk, and we all lift each other. I mean, gosh, everything in the middle of the night, I don't care. I'm not talking schedule now, but as far as your insomnia and sleep, it's my worst time. It's
yeah.
my most vulnerable time. Everything seems like a huge deal. Even on the weekend when I'm not working. If I wake
Yeah.
up, everything is a massive deal in the middle of the night.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It all
Yeah.
hits me at night
Yes. Yes.
when I'm supposed to be winding
When I'm
down and
supposed to be right, sweet dreaming, and nope.
nope.
Mm-mm,
And I'm
mm-mm.
really working on it. I'm in therapy and I think,
Right.
for me, I think a lot of it is there's some physiological things too, but I'm also in therapy, like you said.
Yeah.
But it's also been a time for a reflection for me. As crazy as this sounds, I think God uses times like this
Oh,
when
I
in my
do too.
struggles to bring me through.
Mhm.
And we've seen each other at the fest, and I know
Yes.
Father Bob, and
Yes.
I'm just curious as we kind of wrap things up before we get into a couple of fun questions. With the anxiety that you've shared, with your sleep troubles like mine, and all these different things. Um, for me, I feel like it's made my faith even stronger. As
Mm-hmm.
crazy as that is to say,
Exactly.
how has all of this impacted your faith?
I'm no, I have no problem sharing. I mean, I'm extremely faithful. I'll tell you a story, and this is something I was raised Catholic and went to Catholic school my entire life, and my kids are both at Catholic schools, and it just means a lot to me. And God means a lot to me, and so I'll never forget this moment because I think we all, no matter what the faith, Christian, God, whatever it is, I think we all have those moments of, well, is there? Where is it?
Yeah.
Where is he, she, it, the universe, whatever. So probably, I'm trying to think of the year, maybe 2011 or 12. This was back when obviously there was no pandemic, and I was doing the midday show. I don't know at that time what it was even called. It's been so many things. So I'm talking about the equivalent to It's About You. So I don't know if it was Live on Lakeside or whatever it was, but I had thrown my back out, and I used to throw my back out all the time. And anyone that's thrown their back out knows that it's not something that you could even, it wasn't from exercising or lifting anything heavy. I would literally like bend over to give the dog water and my back would go. And it's excruciating. So if you have that, you'll get it. I, to the point of like can't move. Like I'd be laying on the floor and have to call my
Oh
dad
my
and be like, "Come
goodness.
grab me." So like that bad. So now fast forward to this happens to me, and you can't really call anyone at 1 in the morning easily to go take your position at work. And so somehow I got myself there, and I was crooked all day. And I actually stood for Live on Lakeside because of the fact that I was in so much pain. And I had taken like 800 milligram Motrins, which is what I had, but it didn't do anything. So then we have Dr. Nimi on the show. I had never heard of him. So I don't know if you know him or his wife. So Dr. Nemi is basically, and it's Nemeh, and his beautiful wife, they were on as guests. I was so, if you're in any kind of pain for any kind of time, and now this is the end of my workday, I had it. And I had a public appearance that night that I remember thinking, how am I going to do this? Like, I
Yeah.
can't even stand right now.
Yeah.
And I'm standing crooked, and um, Terry Moyer, who's one of the managers at Channel 3, is briefing me about, okay, the next guest is this, and she knows I'm miserable and I'm in so much pain. And I'm kind of half listening. I never met this guy. I knew nothing about him, but he's a doctor and he incorporates religion into what he does. So we do this whole interview, and I'm listening. but I'm not because I'm in pain. Does this
Right.
make sense to you?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I'm kind of like half paying attention in class. And this is no
Yeah.
disrespect to him because I love him and this is amazing. But then in the commercial break, he just said, nice to meet you. Can I do anything for you? I said, yeah, could you heal my back? And I was almost being a little sarcastic. And he's like,
Sure.
yeah, come over here. And so you know what a studio looks like. And so we're literally in a studio of people and off to the side. And it's like, okay, you have 2 minutes till you're back on. And he prayed over me. He did not touch me. I'm not paying attention. I mean, so as from one religious girl to another, I'm not like Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Like I'm not dialed in at all. I'm just like, okay, heal it. All I heard was mumbling and at times Holy Spirit. And I felt, without exaggeration, like a lightning bolt from my head to my feet. I almost passed out and my back never hurt again. And I did cartwheels out of the building. Terry Moyer is my witness and the entire studio. And from that day forward, and all he said to me was, you believe and you've got the Holy Spirit in you. And from that day forward, I have never, ever, not that I've ever doubted God, but I tell this story just to give people faith because I didn't know who this guy was. I wasn't even praying with him. I was just like, okay, like do your thing. Like I didn't even know what he was doing. There was no medical instruments. There was nothing, nothing, nothing.
Like my jaw's on the floor. I'm like, feel like I have to. What an
It's
incredible
it
story.
it's and I've never had a back issue since. And I was somebody that threw my back out
You're
like
kidding me.
all the time. No. I mean, like in college,
And
I
I
threw
mean,
my
I've heard stories like this,
no,
but
I've never
to hear it
ever had an
firsthand
issue
from
since. Never.
that's amazing. I mean,
I
that just
remember,
goes
I
to
mean,
show
like
you.
it was like literally a miracle, and that's why I tell the story because if you don't have faith, I mean, it's not something like I said. I wasn't even dialed in that day, but somehow, some way, God knew that I needed on that day that reassurance of here I am, and it's never happened to me since. I've never had an experience like it that I could. I wanted to selfishly, like I want to feel that again. Like I want to feel that
Right.
amazing whatever that was. I
Wow.
want to feel that, but it happened to me. So I think I'm just really grateful that it did, and I've never ever ever had a back issue since.
Okay, you're gonna pass his name on to me later.
Yeah, I will. I will.
That was
Dr. Namy,
awesome.
you'll find plenty of stories about him. But like I said, at the time that I did it, I had no idea who he even was.
Yeah. Oh my
Mm-mm.
gosh. See, God just works so amazing. And even through the toughest times in our life, and, that's what I just keep telling myself. We're all going to have hills and valleys at
Yeah,
different points.
yeah,
Everybody, you're in a good
yeah.
place right now. God bless you. That's amazing. But there probably are going to be some hard
Oh,
spots in the future.
it's yes.
And, it's how we deal with it during those times in the trenches or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
And
yeah. No,
yeah,
I'm a very religious person. Like it's not so much, and especially now with the pandemic going on, it's not necessarily going to church. I just God is a part of my daily
yeah,
existence. I mean,
yeah,
there's not a day. The first things out of my mouth are thank you, God, every morning.
yeah. That's the first thing I think about every morning is, oh,
Thank you,
it's
God.
another day. I'm
It's a
alive
gift.
and breathing.
It's a gift.
It's a gift. Every day is a gift.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Holly. This has been such a great conversation. I know it's going to encourage a lot of people, whether it's to, seek help, know that being not okay is okay. I say
You're
that
right.
right.
It takes time
It's
to say it.
okay if you're not
It took me a long
okay.
time to believe it. I tease my daughter because she's trying, she's always miss straight A's and she is, but I'm like, you know what? It's okay to get that B plus, even though
I
she's not. I'm like, I wonder who you take after, but still,
I know, I
it's
know. My
okay.
daughter's the same. It's okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to end it here with some fun questions, some get to know
Ready.
Holly questions.
Okay. The unicorn is out.
Okay, so it's kind of like quick fire questions.
Got it.
When you're not working, how do you spend your time?
When I'm not working, how do I spend my time? I'm sleeping.
I would bet because you're at work at what, 1 a.m.?
Yeah, I mean, if I can, I mean, that was the first thing that came to mind because it's not like, especially recently, like there's no social life or social interaction. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
at work too. So I get my alarm goes off at 1 in the morning. But I guess the other part, I would say I'm with the dogs. I love to cook. For me, that's therapeutic. but it's only therapeutic when I'm not on the hamster wheel.
Yeah,
This
because
is
if
quick
it's the
fire, so I
grind.
know that I have to be, but and it's even more therapeutic if I can have like a glass of wine as I'm cooking, because
Yeah.
I'm such a better cook with wine.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, what was the first concert you ever attended?
Rick Springfield at the Blossom, and the power went out, and they had to carry him off stage, and I thought I was going to meet him, but I didn't.
Oh my goodness, what a great concert.
Yeah,
Okay,
like literally, there was a thunderstorm, and you all know Blossom, and so the power went out, and they carried him off stage, and I thought, this is my chance. I'm gonna run and get
did
him.
he ever come back on or no?
No,
Oh,
no, like they lost power. The end of that concert and my journey to marry Rick Springfield.
ended. Well, I guess at least it was a good memory or a
Yeah,
decent memory.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I was, yeah, he was much older than me. It would not have been normal too, but still, yes, he was like my heartthrob. He was my heartthrob. Him
Oh,
and Duran Duran. And I've never seen Duran Duran in concert. I was such a Simon Le Bon and John Taylor fan.
that's so great. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this one, but what's your favorite beverage?
My favorite, well, coffee.
I knew you were gonna see, that's what I thought. I'm
Yeah.
like, she's gonna
Like
have
I
to say
want to
coffee.
say, I want to be like water because it's so good for me, but coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, I'm a co do you
And I'm
now do
really
you
into
drink
iced coffee.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
I can't get into
Even
the
in the
iced
winter
coffee.
months. Yeah.
Interesting. My
Yeah. I
daughter
can't
keeps
stand
trying to
it.
convince me, but I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What was your first job?
My very first job, drive through girl at McDonald's, Mayfield McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unique.
Yes. And I loved it because I had that little microphone and I thought I was so
Yeah.
cool. I thought I was like the coolest thing
I
since
used
like,
to have the little kit when I was a kid. It was like,
oh, I'd be like large fry or small, you know?
that's
And
hilarious.
I got a free McDonald's meal like every night at work. That was part of working there. And to this day, I absolutely forgive me all who are anti fast food. I love McDonald's. My kids won't eat it because now everything is healthy and green
Right.
shakes. They're like, ugh. I mean, I could literally eat 2 Big Macs in a sitting.
I'm gluten free now. I get sick if I have gluten, but
I'm sorry
otherwise,
to say this to you. I hope you're not
no,
gagging.
but I've got to tell you, it, it was good. You got to admit, McDonald's is
It's
good.
good. It's good. And I will get the extra sauce from the Big Macs, dip my fries in. I'm that girl.
Oh, so good. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Um, this one is if you could spend your day in anyone else's shoes, who would it be? Like maybe even like a celebrity or someone
Yeah.
from the past or someone you
If
know, anyone.
anyone, I would say, oh gosh, that's hard because there's a few. But the first thing that comes to mind is Jennifer Aniston.
Nice. Why her?
I just applaud her. I feel that she's positive, she's classy, she is so real. I think what I love about Jennifer Aniston is that, and I don't know, I'm talking like, yeah, Jen and I are gonna have lunch in just a few minutes.
Oh, I talk
But
about this about all my people. So
you know what I mean? But I mean, obviously, I've never met the woman, but she seems like she's the real deal. And I would be shattered if she's not. So no one tell you, or if
yeah,
people that
I
said
know.
it,
Just don't tell me
please
if my
don't
people
tell
are,
us,
yeah.
please, please. But I do love that about her because I've always said that to people. Like if I've said this to every family member, if you ever see me acting like I'm some kind of something, please tell me because I'm no different than anybody else. And I feel like that's how she comes across.
Yeah,
Just like
she
a
does.
girl that I want to sit with and, have a coffee with or a glass of wine with and hang out and do yoga or whatever the heck we want to do.
She's Rachel. Yeah,
Rachel, and oh my goodness, like I can't, like I still to this day binge watch Friends. Like
Oh, yeah,
it
me
was,
too.
I love it.
Like, if you don't love Friends, I'm not sure we can be friends.
No, can't. It's my go-to. It's my
Yeah,
go-to.
I know, I love it too. That and The Office. I do love The
Yeah,
Office too.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, last question. I'm asking everyone on the podcast as we end this.
Yeah.
Just tell me something you're thankful for.
Oh goodness. I'm so well, I think what comes top of mind is I'm so thankful for my health,
Mm,
especially in the year plus that we're living. So thankful for my health. So thankful because without that, I wouldn't be here to enjoy my family and all of the beautiful things around me. And I'm just very thankful for that.
I love that. You're a quote person, and I just was looking at this quote before I got on the podcast with you, and what you said plays into that because I was like writing down all the things I need to do today. I need to make dinner. I need to do this. I need to do that, and you start to get
Yeah.
into the,
Right. Right.
um. So I think you'll like this. Begin each day with an "I get to" mentality instead of "I have to." I get to go to work. I get to have a busy day, whatever it may be. We often dress our opportunities as stress when in fact they're blessings.
Yes.
And, it kind of plays into what you said. I have health. I have this.
Yes. Like vision to see you with and your beautiful face. Like
Eh,
it's those sometimes, I mean, it's sad to me how we need the reminders because we all do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh, me
I mean,
too. I complain just like the next
everybody,
person. So
I
we
think
all
it's
do.
part of us. It's just part of being human. But I do have to stop and sort of smell the roses, so to speak,
Yeah.
because it's so true. Even when I'm like, oh, my alarm and I didn't sleep last night because I was crazy that I had loads of laundry. Like those are the kinds of things that are like a big deal at midnight when I'm
Oh,
rolling around trying to sleep.
I hear you.
It's so silly. Or did I put Grady's gym uniform in the book bag? Like it's
Yes.
so silly.
I know.
It's
I hear
so
you, girl.
silly. Yes. And I'm like, in the scheme of life, he's going to be okay, even if he doesn't have his gym uniform. Like,
Right.
you know what
Right.
I
I know. I
mean?
hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you so much for spending time with us today. And it's just been such a blessing. You
Oh,
can watch your new series on WKIC. Follow Holly on social media. You're just such a bright ray of sunshine every
right
day
back at
with
you.
all your quotes and it all. We love
Thank you.
everything about you, Holly. So
Well, I
don't
love
ever
you back.
change.
Oh, right back at you. I can't wait till we can like get together, get together.
I know. I can't wait to give hugs.
Oh, I'm such a hugger. I mean, I hug my kids have had it. I'm like, oh, come here,
I know.
I
I
don't
know.
stop smothering them.
Well, thanks again.
You too.